Hello everybody, welcome back to Tar Takes. It's your third edition. It is Sunday, April 29th, and there's a lot to discuss in the sports world in the NBA and in the NFL, so let's get to it. The Indiana Pacers lost in Game 7, 105-101 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. What's your takeaway from the game today, David?
The one that everyone obviously sees is that LeBron James is a goddamn workhorse and was not going to lose that game. But he's been carrying that team. He's going to stay carrying that team for as long as he can because no one else produces on the team. But I think an interesting takeaway was the fact that Tristan Thompson keyed in 15 points and 10 rebounds in his playtime and a very impressive block that we saw. And I think that Tristan Thompson will need to be utilized in their series upcoming with Toronto if they hope to contend with Toronto's big men in Giannis Valanciunas and Sergio.
Yeah, so I have two takeaways. Let's start with the Cavs. One sort of joking. The first is the NBA is pushing hard for LeBron to advance in the NBA playoffs. A lot of questionable calls. There were a few that were in the favor of Indiana, but most of them were in favor of LeBron James. Two that stood out. One, the technical foul that was called on Lance Stephenson. LeBron drove. Lance hit him on the head. They called it a dead ball foul, technical. But LeBron was driving to the hoop, was finishing a layup. Lance fouled him on the head.
It'd be like a flagrant one.
I don't know how you call that a dead ball foul. LeBron didn't stop. You expect Lance to stop as well. A little bit ridiculous. And then also you see Miles Turner gets called for a foul on an offensive rebound where he put back the ball and got fouled. So it would have been a 3-point play for Indiana. Instead, a foul was called on Miles Turner. J.R. Smith drew the foul, and J.R. Smith hit 2 free throws, so it's a 5-point turnaround.
Okay,
so,
all right. On that foul call, if you look back on it, J.R. Smith there was some tangled up. Both of them were tangled up. I think that probably.
You
could have just left it up to physical play basketball.
There was nothing.
J.R. Smith did have position in front of Miles Turner once the foul was called.
There was no foul there. But in more serious, I think, LeBron finally got the help that he needed. LeBron had to carry and start the game strong. He did that. He had 45 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. But you saw at the end, LeBron left late in the third quarter, cramped up again, and he didn't enter the game again until about 8 minutes and 30 seconds. The game was close when LeBron left. When he came back, it was about an 8-point game, so LeBron finally got that help. Love had 14, a couple late threes. Obviously, Tristan Thompson started out very strong. He had 15 points as well. J.R. Smith had 11. George Hill, who barely played in the first half, came up big, had 11 points. So LeBron finally got some help from the rest of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I think that bodes well for the Toronto series. But moving on to the Pacers. The Pacers have some heart. They have some heart.
I told you Domantas Sabonis was going to be an X factor. Did I not say this?
Well, he was an X factor today, but in the wrong way.
Yeah, true.
Sabonis, 10 points, but 3 of 10 shooting. He looked nervous from the start, had a few costly turnovers at the end. He was horrible. If he plays better than that, it probably comes down to the last possession of the game. They might not win, but definitely comes down to the end. But the Pacers have heart. They took LeBron James to 7 in round 1. They were down double digits, I think 3 times in the first half, and they came back every single time, made it close. They were down when LeBron went out. LeBron came back. They still kept the game close. Could have been a very close game, a few calls here or there at the end. So you got to be happy with the way Indiana played this series. I don't know if they have a super bright future because they need to bring more stars to compete.
I think Indiana has a very bright future. I think they can get away with getting maybe another 3-star, 4-star player in there. Miles Turner, in my opinion, if he stays on his trajectory, he can turn into an eventual all-star. But I'm seeing the sophomore slump hit him this year. Took a little bit of regress from the stellar rookie season that I saw with incredible flashes of potential. But I think if he keeps developing, Victor Oladipo's he's an animal. Domantas Sabonis needs to work on his game, but I think he's a solid player for this team. And Bojan Bogdanovic, another bright spot for that team. So I think they can definitely stay as a perennial playoff team in years to come.
I mean, there's no doubt. I think the playoffs are on the rise, and they have a lot of nice pieces. Often overlooked Collison at 23 points today. But it all depends on Oladipo. He had 30 points, 12 rebounds in a Game 7 against LeBron James. That is huge. That's incredible. So it's all on Oladipo. He texted his trainer 20 minutes after the game. So if Oladipo takes another step, then maybe they can recruit a star down the line. But the Eastern Conference, much different from the West, for sure. In the East, sort of up for grabs between the Sixers, Toronto, and Cleveland. In the West, it's the Rockets and it's the Warriors. The Rockets and Warriors combined for a 36-point margin of victory between the two teams. Houston won 110-96 today, and the Warriors won 123-101 on Saturday. So the teams, they can't really compete with the Warriors, and my question is, can anyone compete with the Rockets or the Warriors in the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference?
I think the Jazz would have the best chance of anyone to compete with
even in the
team.
East, if you're including those teams in the
Including
East as well?
the East. I mean, the 76ers are the only one. If the Celtics were healthy, I'd say the Celtics could easily compete with these teams, but obviously they're not. Celtics still showing flashes of promise with their young stars. But Utah, they obviously didn't have Ricky Rubio today. It's tentative whether he'll be back for the next game or the game after that. But based on how the physical therapy goes, he might be back for the next game. It's a toss-up situation. But Jazz lost by 14. It wasn't ever really close, but we did see at some points the Jazz would put pressure on the Rockets. Of course, James Harden had 41 points, and James Harden was disgusting down the stretch. Every time the Utah Jazz looked like they were getting back in, James Harden would just pull up for a three in your face, and there was no hope. So I think the Jazz do have a chance of competing at home. I think they can maybe pull out a game or two, maybe a game. I don't know if it's going to be two. The Pelicans, I was really pulling for them coming into this one, but without Steph Curry, the Warriors look almost indestructible. I had the Rockets maybe potentially giving the Warriors a run for their money, but if I see Steph Curry coming in healthy, I had this team repeating easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Warriors will breeze through the Pelicans. Like you said, they still don't have Steph Curry. He's the most important player on the team, and they blew out the Pelicans. Everyone had all this hype around Anthony Davis. It didn't matter whatsoever. The Warriors aren't even shooting well so far in the playoffs. They're only shooting 34% from three as a team. During the regular season, they shot 39%. Obviously, Steph isn't back, so that probably hurts the cause a little bit, but Durant's only shooting 28%. That's way below season average. Draymond, 30%, a little bit below. So the Warriors aren't playing their best basketball, and they don't have their best player. They also have playoff experience, so there's nothing to worry about with the Warriors. I think they breeze through the Pelicans. I even think they might breeze through the Rockets, but let's talk about the Rockets. I'm a little bit unsure what we have with the Utah Rockets series. Right now, you would have to think it's going to be a sweep just by the way Game 1 looked, but Utah just
There were flashes. There were flashes in Utah, and I think Rubio will definitely help out. And down the line, Rudy Gobert, there were instances when we saw that Capella-Rudy Gobert matchup down low, and it was I think that could be a table turner. The X factor for whether or not Utah gets 1 or 2 wins is whether Royce O'Neal can continue defense on James Harden. There were at points in the game where he was playing spectacular defense on James Harden. As soon as he switched off, and James Harden was just eating alive whoever came on to him.
Yeah, but to go back to my point earlier, is you don't really know what you had in Utah today. They just came off a very tough series, a 6-game series, mentally draining. They had to beat OKC. So it's a Game 1. Houston, obviously well rested. Houston's been looking forward to this for a while now, and they got the best of Houston's game. So we'll see a lot more in Game 2. If it's close, then maybe Utah can make it a series, push it to 6 games. I think it'll be tough. Utah's pretty young. Donovan Mitchell, 29 points per game. Absolutely incredible. You have to love Donovan Mitchell. He's going to be a superstar. But he's still a rookie in the playoffs with not a ton of help around him. It's solid help, but he doesn't have another superstar that if he falls off, well then Utah's done.
Yeah.
And he's also playing 39 minutes a game. So in college, you're only playing 40 games. There's only 40 minutes to possibly play. He's playing 39 playoff NBA minutes as a rookie, and he is getting the entire load of what Utah is throwing at him. So I think you could see a very tired Utah team against a more talented and much more rested Houston team could be a recipe for disaster.
If this Utah team had another scorer that could regularly average 18, 19 points a game and could spread the floor a little bit, I would have them as title contenders easy.
Yeah, I think Utah has a very good chance. If they can pick up one more player, they can be up with the Warriors, with the Rockets next season. Okay, so let's stay with the NBA shortly. It's just a quick segment, quick picks. Tar takes quick picks. We just want to quickly go over who do we think is going to win these conference semifinal series. First, Warriors, Pelicans. I think we both know the answer. I'm picking the Warriors. I'm going to pick them to sweep the Pelicans. What about you?
I'm going to go with the Warriors, sadly sweeping the Pelicans. Anthony Davis, gotta love him, great athlete. Drew Holiday shown that he can be that type of scorer, and we of course know what playoff Rondo looks like. But we saw that Golden State just matches up perfectly with this team.
Yeah, and then moving on, staying in the West, Rockets, Jazz. I think the Jazz will get one game, maybe two, but I think they're going to be tied throughout the series. Experience, talent is just going to outmatch Utah. I will pick Rockets in 5.
Rockets in 5.
Okay, moving on. Let's go to the Eastern Conference. We have the 76ers and the Celtics. Celtics, a lot of injuries. 76ers playing great basketball with Simmons and Embiid. I think the Sixers will win that game in 6. They'll win it at home in Philadelphia. I think they just have too much talent for the injured Celtics team to match.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Philly in 5 in this one. I think the Celtics I think Brad Stevens is going to soon be one of the best coaches in the NBA, if not the best coach in the NBA. What he's done with this team is spectacular, and the talent that he has with Tatum and Brown is astronomical. But this Philly team is the next coming of Penny Hardaway and Shaq.
Yeah,
so I'm going to get Philly in 5.
Yeah. Stevens might be top 3 now, but okay, so I think this is the series that everyone will be looking forward to. Cleveland Cavaliers, Toronto Raptors. I think Cleveland's going to win this series in 5. LeBron James, this is a quick stats right here. LeBron James has absolutely owned the Toronto Raptors. I have no trust in the Raptors. They haven't shown me anything. Regular season, LeBron James versus Toronto, 39-9, 27.6 points, 7.2 rebounds, almost 8 assists. In the playoffs, only better, 8-2, 30 points per game, 8.4 rebounds, 6 assists, and he's shooting 60%. Cleveland in 5.
I'm going to go Cleveland in 7 in this one, actually. I do not trust the Raptors either, but I think if the Cavaliers had such a terrible time trying to get through the Pacers, even though they pretty quickly handled the Raptors in the regular season, those really close games we saw in the regular season may start to tumble a little bit in Toronto's favor when LeBron's feeling the pressure and the fatigue from carrying that team on his back up a steep hill. I'm going to go in 7. DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry are going to definitely give him a run.
Yeah, it's obviously an exciting time in the sports world. We had an NBA playoffs, so we're done with that for now. The NFL draft just happened this weekend. We obviously are fans, Oakland Raiders and the Atlanta Falcons. So,
rise up!
David, how did your team do in the 2018 NFL draft?
The Falcons, NFL.com's giving them a B+. I'm going to give them, I'm going to give them a B+. Calvin Ridley, I was super excited. I'm very excited for Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, and Mohamed Sanu to be in that receiver core. And then we got to steal the draft, in my opinion, Isaiah Oliver. Isaiah Oliver is very rangy, very lanky, and I think he has tremendous talent and potential as a cornerback. Deidrin Senat, the defensive lineman from USF, South Florida defensive tackle. That boy's he's a house. He's strong. He's a little short, but I think that'll help him with leverage inside. He's like a Grady Jarrett type player. And then we have our 2 young edge rushers in Tack McKinley and Vic Beasley coming on the side. I think they'll definitely help us out. Ito Smith was a kind of an interesting pick. Very fast, speedy back. My drawbacks from this draft for the Falcons, we didn't address the guard situation. Ben Garland, I think he's done a decent job in filling in at the guard position. But we really, this draft was so loaded with guards. I mean, we could have taken one. But I feel like jumping on Ridley is going to help us in our offense. And then I think Deidre Snott, I don't know how he's going to fare the entire season. I have high hopes, but I feel like we could have gotten maybe like more of a premier talent.
Yeah, let's move on to the Raiders. Everyone's sort of been freaking out about this Colton Miller pick. Raiders had the number 10 pick, traded down to number 15. By moving down, they were able to acquire Martavis Bryant through a few other deals, which is exciting pickup. Extremely talented, will add a huge deep threat. Also, he's big and tall, should help in the red zone. The only issue, sort of a character issues with the team. He wanted out of Pittsburgh, and he also only has 1 year left on his deal. So he could have a really good season and then leave, which would suck, but it's only a third-round pick. But let's stay with Colton Miller. The Denver Broncos, they drafted Bradley Chubb. They still have Von Miller. They still have Shane Ray. So you need to make sure your two tackle positions are solidified. Donald Penn, 35 years old, coming off foot surgery. So left tackle, sort of a question mark. Right tackle, been a question mark for the past few years. They got Colton Miller. Yeah, he's not maybe worth the pick at 15, but you got your value there. You got your right tackle position solidified this season. Maybe the left tackle of Penn can't come back fully healthy. You can move Colton Miller over, but he was the best offensive tackle available at that time. You already moved down. So it's a good pick, not a great pick, but it makes sense. You needed that need filled. You needed the tackle position. But where the draft gets really exciting for the Raiders is later, right? I mean, it's high value, high risk, high reward picks later on. Arden Key, defensive end, LSU, number 87 overall. Going into the 2018 season, he was the number 1 rated prospect by CBS Sports. He then had a shoulder injury, picked up some weight, started slow into the season, but then did pick it back up. 3.5 sacks last 4 games of the season. Moving down, Nick Nelson, cornerback from Wisconsin, another solid pick. Is injured with a meniscus tear, but he's a nice guy, could play the slot day 1. Number 9th rated cornerback, Pro Football Focus.
Nice guy. I mean, would you let him take your daughter out to dinner?
What kind of funny question is that? Nick Nelson, another great guy, but the highlight of the draft, Maurice Hurst, number 3 overall rated prospect. Out of any prospect by Pro Football Focus, Raiders got him at 140. So high value pick there. He has a heart condition. Only issue, Raiders checked it out. Hurst, all the doctors said he's good to go, should be ready to go day 1. But he also fills in a major need for the Oakland Raiders. They have not had an inside presence, an inside pass rusher that can create pressure up the middle. That's what you need to beat top quarterbacks, to beat Tom Brady, to free up Khalil Mack, to free up Bruce Irvin, Arden Key, Mario Edwards Jr., whoever. You now have that inside presence. Absolutely amazing pick. The Raiders also later in the day picked up fellow Tar Heel Ryan Switzer. They traded Jihad Ward. He was going to be cut anyways, so you got a very good slot receiver and a special teams player. So the Raiders, I really like the draft. It's high risk, high reward. There's a lot of things that could go wrong, but there's a hell of a lot that can go right, especially with those late picks. You have to be excited. The potential is through the roof. And those late picks is how you win Super Bowls. You get cheap guys, you get value guys where you don't have to pay them, and they have their rookie contract for 4 years. So
I think everyone's just like unnecessarily crapping themselves over the Raiders draft. I mean, NFL.com gave them a C, but honestly, they did well with what they could, and they made a lot of deep, solid outside moves. Ryan Switzer, a good slot receiver, and Martavis Bryant, as you said. So I think it's unnecessary. Colton Miller's definitely a project, but he has the potential. So I think, honestly, the Raiders didn't do a bad job with this draft.
No, obviously I completely agree. So let's move away from our own NFL teams, maybe away from the biases that we may or may not have. But so who is your biggest winner and biggest loser from the 2018 NFL draft?
My biggest winner, the Patriots. I'm going to have to go with them as the biggest winners of this draft. I was thinking they were going to go in, shock the world, and take Lamar Jackson. No, Bill Belichick did what Bill Belichick does. He made a smart and economic move, and he went after an offensive tackle from UGA that, while undersized, they worked with undersized tackles and won that block for Flip Brady's blindside for 10 years. I think 6'2" Isaiah Wynn from UGA is a great pickup. Go Dogs. Sony Michel, holy crap. They have Sony Michel at running back with Tom Brady throwing the ball. Sony Michel was a tremendous double threat for UGA. Could catch the ball out of the backfield and tremendous speed. So I think they only get better with this. And then we see they come down here. Great picks later on. Florida cornerback, Duke Dawson. I mean, any defender from the SEC is going to be an athlete. This guy, he knows his coverages. He's a solid athlete. Purdue linebacker Jawan Bentley. I mean, Belichick knows what he's doing, and he's always going to be one step ahead of everybody else. My loser for this draft, I'm going to have to go with the 49ers. The 49ers, I mean, they went after their first pick. They went after the guard from Tackle. Oh yeah, that was Mike McGlinchey from Notre Dame. And that was an interesting pick. I mean, it's a little bit. The tackle talent in this draft wasn't the best, but it was a decent pick for them trying to want to move the line. But then, why aren't we going for Minka Fitzpatrick or Derwin James? You could definitely use the help on defense. But no, you go for Dante Pettis, someone who's literally just the same as Goodwin on your team. I mean, it was just you just didn't set the tempo well. I mean, you have the 9th overall pick and you go for Mike McGlinchey rather than taking two extremely capable defenders that could have really set the tempo on your defense. But that's who my big losers are. I mean, you couldn't have shit the bed any worse right there.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly about the New England Patriots. I mean, I think they sort of get an A every year. If they drafted you or me, you would have NFL Network people giving them A's. No one's going to tell Bill Belichick doesn't know what he's doing. He's shown us time and time again he does. So my winner, the Denver Broncos, they can thank the Cleveland Browns for this because Cleveland passed up on the opportunity to have Bradley Chubb and Myles Garrett. I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, they had the chance, to get their star quarterback in Baker Mayfield and then also a duo in Garrett and Chubb. They passed that up. So the Denver Broncos at number 5, they took advantage of that. So now the Denver Broncos have Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, and Shane Ray.
And Darren Wolf.
It's unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. They got lucky, probably the number 1 pick in the draft. It sort of reminds me of when Khalil Mack fell to the Raiders at number 5. He's probably the best player in the draft. They got him. And they also, they got Case Keenum in the offseason, so they didn't need to address the quarterback position. I also think smart move by not addressing the quarterback position. Not the biggest fan of the quarterbacks. But later on in the draft, they went with Courtland Sutton, big wide receiver. Now they have Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas, and Courtland Sutton. So they're going to have a good receiving corps. They need to give Case Keenum all the help they can get. They continue to do that. They got Royce Freeman, running back from Oregon, had an incredible career at Oregon. Has a lot of carries, a little bit of injury history, but if you limit his carries, he should be very productive. So Denver, basically just because of Bradley Chubb, they win the draft in my opinion. Their defense has a chance to get back to that Super Bowl caliber defense they had in the past. It just all depends on Case Keenum if they're going to have success or not. My loser has to be the New Orleans Saints. All this stuff pretty much day one. They traded up. They traded up for Marcus Davenport. They traded up to number 14 from number 27. But to get up to number 14, they gave up their first-round pick, 27, the 147th pick, and a 2019 first-round pick. Everyone thought, okay, well, they're taking a quarterback. They're getting that heir apparent to Drew Brees, and no, they took Marcus Davenport. They also, according to ESPN, top 5 needs: tight end, defensive tackle, outside linebacker, and a quarterback behind Drew Brees.
He basically went the opposite direction.
They didn't draft any of those. The only need they filled was Marcus Davenport. So New Orleans better win the Super Bowl because they are all Super Bowl or bust right now under Drew Brees. If they don't, then they will be screwed because of this draft. They don't have a first-round pick next year, so who's going to be the quarterback when Drew Brees retires? If they have any other holes, any other injuries, then I don't know. They're out of luck there. So I think we're done with the NFL side of the NFL draft, but we still have the UNC side of the NFL draft. The North Carolina Tar Heels, they had 3 players selected in the 2018 NFL draft. For perspective, North Carolina State had 7. Alabama led the way with 12. Of course, they're going to lead the way, but they still had 12. Miami, Florida State had 6, and Virginia Tech had 5. So, David, are you worried about the lack of UNC players being drafted for the future success of the program?
I'm not worried. I think what Fedora's doing, Fedora's got a pretty solid recruitment class coming up next year. I mean, we look at 2016, the only 4-star recruit we had was Chaz Surratt, and everything else is 3 stars. And now we look at this upcoming recruitment class, and we had got 6 4-star athletes. I mean, a lot of wide receiver talent coming in, good offensive tackle talent, and defensive end. I think we should not be worried too much. I mean, obviously it's a little disheartening that State's doing better than us, but I mean, I'm not worried. I think Fedora's long-term, his recruiting has improved significantly from what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to disagree with you. I think I'm a little bit worried. We've seen this problem, I think, with both the basketball team and the football team. There's just been a lack of very good professional prospects. And if you're a recruit coming, you're looking at schools, and you're looking up 8 miles away, you look at Duke, you look at Kentucky, and you look at Alabama. You look at all these programs just pumping out stars into the NBA, into the NFL. Why are you going to choose North Carolina? And that's an issue, right? They had 3 players this year. Austin Proehl went 1 pick for Mr. Irrelevant, so he might not even stick on a roster very long. So if you're North Carolina, you need to show prospects that you can take them into college and turn them into NFL prospects. And Larry Fedora hasn't done that. They didn't get 1 5-star recruit in football this year. The basketball team lost out on a lot of prospects. On Williamson, they lost out on a lot of guys. Is that the scandal? It's sort of unclear, but there's also been an inability to create top-tier prospects. The only top pick really that North Carolina had was MJ Stewart, cornerback. Love the pick. I think he's going to be good, but he went in the 2nd round, 53 overall to Tampa Bay. And then the other 2 picks, like I mentioned before, Austin Proehl, 2nd to last pick in the entire NFL draft. And then linebacker Andre Smith, staying home, goes to the Carolina Panthers at 234 overall in the 7th round. So you're also competing against other schools in the ACC. NC State had 7. I mean, they more than doubled your draft output. Miami, Florida State, Virginia Tech, they beat you as well. So not only looking bad for your program, but you're also losing compared to other ACC programs in that aspect. So
I mean, I definitely think, though, we're getting to a level of being more competitive. The recruitment has significantly improved. I mean, this is Carolina football, not Carolina basketball. I mean, I think the recruitment is not, we're not going to get a bunch of 5-star athletes, but I think the fact that we have significantly increased the amount of 6-star athletes that we've attracted is definitely beneficial for the future.
Yeah, I think that is all for today on Tar Takes. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Please tune in. Follow us on YouTube. Look us up, Tar Takes. Follow us on Instagram, Tar Takes, or Twitter, or Facebook. Follow us on anything. Look us up. Also, shout out to Relevnt again. Check out the app. Download it. It's on the App Store and the JR Report. This is Ryan Lipton signing off, as well as David Matlock. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a good day.
Thank you.